This was an interesting thought. You know how we're being trained all the time by everything, everyone around you, by your environment, by advertisement, by marketing, by everything, companies, everything. We're always being trained, and certainly by computers. And you know, sometimes we really do need to be trained in baby steps, right? Like, I forget the whole story. You all probably know it and can tell it better than me about, you know, like with Apple, right? You know, he went from A to Z, and then he was like, oh, there's no way they're going to be able to go to A to Z. And then, of course, I think he started to milk it because people, of course, were able to, he was right. He had to wean us A to B, B to C, C to D. But then we started to pick up speed, and he's like, well, this works really well, you know, suckering you fools, you know, along slowly but surely, because you could make more money doing that. Yet, nonetheless, you know, then that leaped, right? And then it was like, okay, now we realize we can all make more money when we're all better and everybody up levels. And so we're just always being trained. We're always being trained because some of us really can, and the mass majority really can't jump from A to Z. So we need to, it's like, treat the mass versus the individuals who can leap, because it's just the way it works. And so they were just showing me something with all of this about, you know, how to train us, and how, you know, so many of us have over the past, you know, 2 or 3 decades, you know, we communicate over phones, over computers. It's just natural and normal now, right? This is just what we do. And then we've also learned a lot from that, how we're not communicating well enough effectively because we were so used to and so trained in picking up tone and watching somebody's movements and face expressions and all these things. And so we ran into a lot of problems because we couldn't see that or hear that or understand that when we're reading it on a computer. And so we had to adapt to that. And so we've learned how to communicate better, really. And so that's a beautiful thing. And who knew that might have been the agenda, right? It's going to hurt. It's going to be bumpy. People are going to hate it. There's, you know, but it's the reality of they have to learn. It's like the hard way, so to speak, because you couldn't say that to somebody. You all don't know how to communicate, right? And what also I think happened was we started to then, when we were with people, speak in computer language, right? So then we really got ourselves topsy-turvy. And it was like, okay, you have to recenter yourselves and adapt to all of this and still be you. And so we're all always up-leveling in this sense. And I just always find it curious because we don't always know what the agenda is. Almost never do we see it coming, so to speak. Because how could we, right? If somebody leaped from A to Z and they've gotten it and they see Z clear as day, but you're back at A and they start explaining Z to you, you're going to be like, you're a moron, or get out of my face. You know, you can't hear it. You cannot hear it. You don't understand it. And so you do have to be walked there. And that's how we are with most everything, which I don't think is a bad thing, right? Because if we all were so trusting, we could all be leaping to Z and it could be a problem, right? And at the same time, when we don't leap fast enough, that also is a problem. We get left behind, right? It's always that fine balance. It really is. It really is. I just find it interesting. I find it interesting and fascinating because, again, it always comes back to, are you actually thinking for yourself? I don't think you are. I think most people aren't. I think most people aren't aware that they're not thinking for themselves. They were showing me earlier today, that was part of the reason I always liked the breakthrough, was because it required me to utilize my own tool and to come up with the understanding and the reasoning and the logic and to see it through myself. And I like to be able to do that. I like to be able to think on my own independently. I like to be able to see my own patterns and shadows and automatic pilot and my own nonsense so that I can break my own nonsense. And I can be stubborn and stuck, where a lot of times it's really challenging to see your own shadow, your own blind spots. It's like no matter how hard you look, sometimes you just can't get there. And so when you do, you're like, oh, fucking thank God, right? It's like trying to spin your head all the way around or something to see something right in the exact center of your back. And you're like, you don't have a mirror, you have nothing, you have to figure it out. And it's like, oh my God. But then and you won't give up, you refuse to give up. And when then you're finally able to do it, you're like, oh my God. And it's like, it wasn't even that big of a deal. It was more like I needed to fucking do it, and I needed to do it myself, or it was going to be that itch I couldn't scratch forevermore, right? So it's like we do crave understanding, almost so we can let it all go, right? It's like, it's almost, what is it? It's almost like the fear of missing out, right? It's almost like we'll have something that intrigues us, and it's almost like your curiosity can get the better of you. Because you can't let it go. You can't just drop the bone. And sometimes that's good and sometimes that's really bad, right? You have to know, again, you have to know when, right? You have to know what is worth chasing and what isn't for your own sanity and for your own growth. And I just find it all very, very interesting because people can then plant those seeds and have you go on wild goose chases. And it's like, well, what are you thinking for yourself? Are you choosing that? Or did somebody imply something that roped you in? Or, and it's always so many layers, right? Because there are so many agendas at play. Even though you think you're running your show, you really likely aren't. I mean, honestly, the way they show it to me, it's like there's maybe 7 people in the world that run their show. And there's another 7 million that think that they really do run their show because they hold a title and a weight, right? And then there's, another 7 billion who are just the masses. Really, truly we're just part of the mass. We're just part of the, anyway, just, I guess something to chew on, but choose to chew on it or not. Don't let it drive you bananas if it's something that will drive you bananas. Unless you like that. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. You can now purchase an audio journey with me using the link below.